Welcome to another episode of No Talking During the Movies. I am your host, Stephen Austin.
And I am a sweater-clad hermit by the name of Tank.
Tank, we don't have time for the joke.
Oh, no!
Yeah, because we're chock full of stuff to talk about today. It's actually like, remember like 2 weeks ago, and we were like, we don't know what to talk about. Nothing's happened. And now everything has happened. We've got so many trailers that we're going to just jump right into them. First up is I Care a Lot, which is going to be one of Netflix's first films of the year. This did not interest me until about halfway through the trailer. What did you think?
Yeah, I after watching the trailer, Rosamund Pike plays a really good psycho, like a really unlikable human being. She does a good job at that. And I'm with you. It was really uninteresting until about halfway through the trailer. But it also, the trailer kind of alludes to the fact that maybe Rosamund Pike is the protagonist, which is I'm not okay with. So
yes, she's definitely the protagonist, which she's clearly a villain.
Yeah, totally.
But I think the whole idea, I think it's supposed to be like a Breaking Bad level, like you've messed with the wrong people. You're a bad person who's the protagonist, but now you're going to get your just desserts, and that's the movie. Even though I'm sure it's going to, like, we obviously don't know the end of the movie, but I'm sure it's going to end out with her, like, outwitting and surviving. And I think
and that's not what I want. I definitely want her not to. I definitely don't want that not to happen.
Right. Very similar to Breaking Bad. Everybody needs to get their just desserts in these situations.
See, I never thought that. I never looked at Walter White as a true villain.
Really?
Never.
Oh my God.
In the whole shot, I only looked at him as a person who did what he had to do.
Really? That is astounding, because I'm going to say all right, Breaking Bad spoilers for people who haven't seen Breaking Bad. Okay, the girl, this is me trying not to spoil, the girl who chokes on her own vomit. When he watches that happen, I was like, this guy's a bad guy. And from then on, he just kept doing things that, yes, he was doing for his family, but after all of it, I was like, there is only two ways this show's going to end. And it's either him going to prison forever or dying. And that's the only way it's going to end, because TV can't be like, and the guy who ruined everybody's life lives on.
Well, here's the thing. I agree with what you're saying fundamentally, right? Mm. But up until the point where he started to become a drug dealer, he was a good guy.
Oh, 100%. I
did what he had to
agree.
do, took care of his kids. His wife was a pain in the ass.
Yes, you're very sympathetic of him through, I'm going to say, the first 2.5 seasons.
Yeah. And then he starts to turn.
Yeah, it's real.
But then it all becomes desperation and survival. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that changes us all. That's very different than the greed that this character in this movie we're talking about is showing.
That is true.
And her and the it's not like we're giving anything away because it's in the trailer. She takes over people's power of attorney.
Yes.
Sends them to old people homes, sells their homes, and take their money.
Yes.
I mean that's a disgusting human being.
Unlike Walter White, this from what we can tell, it does not start her trying to like scrape by and provide for her family. She, as far as we know, she does not have a family. It is just her scamming old people, and that's our protagonist.
I would put that as in a category of letting a junkie choke on their own vomit. Versus what this lady does, I would say that's apples and oranges. Now, he didn't actually kill the girl.
Of course
he could have saved her, possibly, probably, most likely. But he also knew that by letting her die, that it would create a dependence for Jesse, and it takes care of one more loose end. So, I mean,
apples and oranges. I agree.
I mean, like, I'm just saying, like you're talking about a character who's at their base evil and a person who is doing evil things.
I love how, and I know, and I realize this is my fault. I love how before this episode started, we said we're going to try to get through these trailers as fast as we can, and somehow we broke on a tangent into Breaking Bad.
I know. It's hard because
hard.
There's a lot of nuance to
absolutely, especially to a
what,
villain.
which makes a good movie, by the way.
Absolutely, because I guess my question is, and we'll end I Care a Lot with this: are you interested, even though she is such a despicable person?
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see what happens for sure. Plus, it's got Peter Dinklage, and we haven't seen him in a while.
Oh my God, when Peter Dinklage showed up in the trailer, I was like, all right, I'm back in. You got me. All right, so our next one is, honestly, looking at this list, probably the one I'm the most excited for.
Yeah, I can see that.
This is Cherry, a Russo brothers film featuring Tom Holland, and no, it's not Avengers 15. It is a very serious-looking film about a young man who goes off to war and comes back and essentially starts robbing banks. And his kind of life from meeting his true love and seeing how war has affected him there and when he comes home. And it looks super interesting. The cinematography and the way they play with, at least in the trailer, is very, I'm going to use the word cool, because all I got from the trailer was, this looks like a very artsy, slick thriller of a film.
Yeah, I'm also curious about what the time is that it takes place, because there's not a lot that tells that. When he goes to war, there's Humvees and things like that, but that could be Iraq 1, that could be Iraq 2.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, we have no idea when this is actually taking place, because all we could kind of tell is that he's in a very deserty looking area.
Yeah, and from the trailer, looks like Tom Holland does an incredible job.
Yes,
just from the trailer. So take that with a grain of salt. Sure. But it does look really great.
I think the movie Joker has reinvigorated this appreciation and love for character studies.
Mm-hmm.
And this film is a pure character study in the way that we can see how each one of his main events in his life, finding his true love, going off to war, how war affected him, robbing banks, has truly affected him personally. And it just looks super interesting. I'm so excited for this movie. By the end of the trailer, I was like, I want to watch this now. And here's the bad news. It's on Apple TV. I don't have that.
Well, I'm definitely going to get Apple TV's I'm going to take advantage of their preview week.
Right, you're going to do it for
so you can watch Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso, yeah.
So I might wait until this comes out.
Sure,
so
you got to do Ted Lasso, this, and what was that Chris Evans movie that came out not too long ago? There's this really interesting one that came out on Apple TV that I also was like, that looks good. Damn you, Apple. Making me get another subscription service. But
it's a lot. It's a lot of subscriptions.
It's too much, because you brought up a trailer for us to talk about on this list, and we'll get to it. But before you brought up this trailer, every single one of these movies are coming out on a different subscription service. I Care a Lot is Netflix. Cherry, which I think both of us are super interested in, is Apple. And now this next one, Bliss, is Amazon Prime. So here we go, talking about Bliss and your absolute love of your favorite actor, Owen Wilson.
Claire. So this looks kind of dumb. I'm not gonna lie
really?
to you. So there was a Bruce Willis movie back in the day, where they drove robots, they drove avatars. I can't remember what it was called, but it wasn't very good. Okay. This gives me that vibe. This gives me a high concept, low delivery type of vibe. So I'm not really that stoked about it.
I don't know, man. I think the idea, so essentially this movie looks like it is a Matrix type of film where the real world is not, a dystopia. The real world outside of the Matrix is, kind of a futuristic paradise or whatever. It looks really nice. I can't tell. It looks like they're doing all this experiment stuff on like on a private island or something.
But they flip flopped it, and it's all just to be like, the real world is amazing,
right?
and then the world they put him in sucks, so that when they get out of the fake world, they appreciate the real world.
Yes.
That's stupid.
I think that's an interesting idea, but only because, from what I'm gathering from the trailer, is him and who's the girl? I always forget her name.
It's
not Selma Hayek.
It is Selma Hayek.
It is okay. Him and Selma Hayek. It looks like she's like the inventor and they have some relationship or something. But what I'm digging is it looks like they start appreciating the scummy world because they can control it and they have like powers in that world. And that's what I'm more interested in, is the idea that he's getting these two worlds mixed up, but he is supposed to be using this service to appreciate the real world more, but when he's now in this other one, he can control it like he's a god. And that's kind of cool to me. I like the idea of him getting trapped in this really crappy world because he can rule it. You know what I mean?
I get it, yeah.
That's where I think the interest is.
It's just not really doing it for me.
All right, no problem. So that one...
It just looks like a concept not achieved so far.
Sure. So that one's going to come out on Amazon Prime. Judas and the Black Messiah is our next film. Which subscription service was this one coming out on?
I don't remember, but this has been a movie that's been coming out for a very long time.
Really?
I've been looking forward to it for a while. Yeah. I'm a Lakeith stan.
Yes, Lakeith.
So,
that's
get it.
That's what all of his fans have to be called, right?
Lakeith stans.
And
I think
Daniel Kaluuya,
amazing,
right?
So. What?
Daniel, I don't want to say his last name wrong, but I probably already did. Daniel Kaluuya? However you say his name. The main character from Get Out. The actor from Get Out. You're going to try to look it up now. But yes, they're the leads in this, and it looks very interesting. I really like... I think period pieces of major historical like race-related events are very interesting to me now, because they're definitely getting a lot more light in Hollywood, and I'm very, very much enjoying what I'm seeing in this trailer. And Lakeith Stanfield, honestly, like, he needs to be in more movies.
I mean, he's great, dude.
He's so good.
He is amazing. Like so I not just movies, but he was in the show Atlanta with Donald Glover. Do you watch that show? Have you watched that show?
I still have not watched it.
Jesus Christ,
I know,
Steven, what are you doing with your life?
I'm rewatching Star Wars for the 15th billion time.
Stop it.
I will stop it.
Doing
However,
that and start watching.
Allow me to say, I know for a fact Atlanta's amazing, especially because the other day, on some platform, probably TikTok, since I'm on TikTok now, somebody put a clip from Atlanta of him buying a trucker hat, and that's all I'm gonna say. Tank, you know the clip I'm talking about, I'm sure.
I do. And as a matter of fact, that was the episode I was going to bring up.
Okay, great. You can do that. Go for it.
So Atlanta is this just really ambitious, funny, amazing achievement of a show. It's so good. A lot of times shows are just so focused on the main characters that they don't explore anything else. But this show doesn't necessarily do that. Honest to God, two of the funniest moments I've ever seen in any TV shows are on this show.
Awesome.
So there's an episode with Cat Williams, who, by the way, kills it in a serious role.
Cat Williams is in Atlanta,
yes.
Or is he just in one episode?
Just one episode. He plays Gator Man. He plays Donald Glover's uncle. So
that's
Donald
exciting.
Glover, and I can't remember the actor's name or his character's name outside of the fact that he is oh my God, now I can't remember his Postman. Is it maybe Postman?
Postman.
Either way, so he's their uncle, right?
Right.
And he's got an alligator in the house. Somebody calls the cops, and the cops come in, and Donald Glover's like, "Hey man, he's a vet. He's going through some stuff. Can you just everybody be calm?" And the kids tell the cops, say, "Be careful, there's an alligator in there." And the cop goes, "Is there really an alligator in there?" And Donald Glover goes, "Yeah." And he goes, Is he nice to you?" And Donald Glover just looks at him, and in the most serious deadpan way, he goes, "No." And dude, I swear to God, it is the funniest goddamn thing I've ever seen in my life. I lost it. And then another scene.
Donald Glover is just a national treasure.
I swear to God, he is.
And you're on the Community train now, so you're really appreciating
I am straight up man crush on Donald Glover.
He's so great. I watched Solo the other day because I'm still rewatching Star Wars for the 15th billionth time, and he kills it as Lando.
He lights it up. He lights up the whole screen.
So, absolutely.
And then the next thing is they were in a club talking about this other rapper.
Right.
And he's leaning up against the thing, and he's like, "Oh, look, he's pretending like he's got an invisible car." And so cut to outside of the club, and they're all standing around talking, and shots get fired, and then a guy drives by, and an invisible car starts running through people.
No way!
Dude, I shouldn't have told you. I should have let you stumble upon it.
Oh,
but it was amazing.
That is
dude,
amazing.
I swear to, dude,
I'm still gonna get all the enjoyment out of it, though.
If you're not watching, you might miss it because it happens so fast. But it's like stuff like that.
Awesome.
So anyway, I'm not even talking about the episode. So the Lakeith Stanfield, there's an episode where he takes the hat and he changes it. He's on his way to go buy a piano from.
I'm trying to remember what the hat says.
I can't remember.
I think it says like. Oh, it says Southern Made. That's what it says.
Yeah.
And it's got the Confederate
flag
on
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's driving to go buy a piano from this former artist, like a used to be a big name, but it's Donald Glover in makeup and stuff like that.
Right.
Dude, this is one of the most incredible episodes of TV ever. Because first of all, the entire episode didn't know it was Donald Glover.
Wait, this is the episode where Donald Glover is in
whiteface.
That's what okay, yes. I had no idea this was the same episode, and I have heard nothing but good things about one, Atlanta, and two, specifically this episode.
Dude, because it's incredible. Because it's like it's a departure from the regular show, from what the show normally is.
Sure.
And so then Paperboy, by the way, is the rapper's name.
Paperboy. Okay.
So then so that's that, and then there's like other episodes where you don't even see Donald Glover, where it's focused on Paperboy, and it looks like an actual TV talk show, like a local TV panel talk show. And then even the commercials are fake, but they're real products.
That. Oh, that's interesting.
Dude, no, it's I can't even.
I'm gonna get on it. I'm gonna get on it.
You gotta get on it.
And
it's not even. It's only got 2 seasons.
I know it's not much. I really need to.
Again. Did you watch Dave?
No, that's the other one that's on my. It's on my list. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you gotta be kidding me.
So Judas and the Black Messiah. So Judas and the Black Messiah is Lakeith Stanfield and Daniel Kaluuya. I can never say his name right. The main character from Get Out, and he's fantastic in just about everything I've seen him in. But it's supposed to deal with like a guy, Lakeith Stanfield's character, who kind of infiltrates and is asked to betray the leader of the Black Panthers. Correct?
Fred Hampton, by the way.
Yes.
One of the most interesting historical figures ever.
Yeah. So that's what the film is about. It looks super interesting. It looks super thrilling. It has this very nice inspirational tone that's kind of going under it, or at least under all of Daniel Kaluuya's like lines and his scenes, and it just looks super interesting, and I'm very interested in it. Okay, so now on just as serious as a note, we're going to talk about Flora and Ulysses. Tank, the moment I started watching this trailer, I said, Tank is going to hate this.
You know, it's so funny.
Did you like it?
I think this is adorable.
Yes.
And I'm very excited to see it.
Thank you.
I think it looks like the cutest thing ever. And I'm very excited for it.
Daniel Puddy, Community fame.
I'm a fan, by the way.
And Ben, is it Schwartzman?
Shapiro, isn't it?
Not Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is the conservative guy.
Oh, that's right. No. It is It may be. It is
Schwartzman?
Schwartzman.
Who's who voices Sonic the Hedgehog?
He's Jean.
Jean.
Jean-
Yeah. Jean.
Is it?
Pierre?
No.
No.
It's Ben Schwartz, by the way. Ben Schwartz. Is his name. And he plays. He was in Parks and Rec.
Yeah. And
eyes.
He was the worst.
The worst.
We literally did this last week with Jenny Slate, who plays his sister.
John Ralphio.
John Ralphio.
We got a case of the forgets today, huh?
We do. But this is a movie about exactly what you'd think, a squirrel with superpowers. I'm just going to let that sit there. It is a squirrel with superpowers.
And it looks so fun. He does stuff like he does the superhero landing where he lands with his arm out. Oh my god, it looks great.
But it looks like it. From what I gather, it takes place in like a universe where the Marvel I think it's supposed to take place in like the real world, but Marvel comics are a thing. And this little girl looks up to all these superheroes and stuff, and then she finds a squirrel with superpowers, and she's like, he's a superhero, and he needs to save the day or whatever. And it just looks adorable. It looks super cute. And everybody
looks very good. Danny Putty is the villain, the animal catcher.
Yeah, animal control or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ben Shapiro is the dad. The little girl's adorable.
Not Shapiro.
Schwartz. Jesus. But yeah, it looks great.
And everybody in the comments of the trailer looked like they were like, "Oh my God, is this them setting up Squirrel Girl in the MCU?" Squirrel Girl is a Marvel superhero, a very hilarious, superpowered. Like she's great, but it's not. For the people wondering, it's not. Flora and Ulysses is actually its own separate book that Disney is now making into a film. It has nothing to do with Squirrel Girl. So just wanted to put that to rest because everybody is like, I wanted Anna Kendrick for Squirrel Girl, not this little girl. And I'm like, that's not what's happening.
They casted Lily from AT&T as Squirrel Girl.
For what?
Back in the day. I don't know what they were doing, but they stopped it. But she was originally cast as Squirrel Girl.
She would have been a good choice for that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and our last trailer. What is wrong with me? What is wrong with us today?
That's a good way to describe it.
It's a chill movie, and it's a chilling movie, and it's called Willy's Wonderland, and it's essentially, if you've ever played the video game Five Nights at Freddy's, it is that, but a movie version of it. But where the security guard fights back, except he's not a security guard. He was a dude hired to clean the place.
So nothing like it, really.
Well, it's still murderous animatronics, okay?
So like, just say you've been locked up in a Showbiz Pizza, and Fats Gorilla comes to life and tries to kill you.
Yeah, Chuck E. Cheese and Chucky's chucking cheese at you. Oh, God.
Good one.
Thanks.
Really,
but it's Nick Cage, and man, he'll do anything these days. But honestly,
will. But
the problem is, when I started watching it, I was like, why can I only imagine Nick Cage in this role?
I like it. I'm
in.
Too. I'm in. I'm in for this.
He like doesn't talk at all in the trailer.
Perfect Nick Cage role.
And they also pull out the line from Watchmen, where it's, I'm not locked in here with you, you're locked in here with me.
I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me.
And I was like, are they just shamelessly going to take that classic line and put it in this horror, thriller, whatever movie? A chiller? Yeah, so that looks interesting. It looks fun. It looks silly. It's the type of horror I want to see because it's just wacky. And
the story seems to be that they have to feed the animatronics sacrifices to keep them in the building.
Human sacrifice. And Nick Cage is the human sacrifice. And the guy's
but
essentially
they chose the wrong sacrifice.
They chose the wrong guy. I like the young people who, like, the young adults who come in and they're like, whatever he promised you, it's a lie. He's not gonna help you. You're supposed to be a human sacrifice. And then Nick Cage the whole time is just still cleaning. They're like, did you hear a word we just said? And he's just like,
they just didn't care.
It's Nick Cage at his Nick Cageiest. All right. So that's gonna do it for our many trailers.
That took a lot longer than I thought. That's a lot of that's my fault. I'm sorry.
25 minutes. Well, I mean, I'll say it's interesting how two of those trailers essentially went from let's not talk about the trailer, let's talk about a TV show we really like. So what do you say we get into some news, Tank?
Like it, yeah. Let's do it.
Awesome. So our first news story is kind of going back to that trailer that we wanted to talk about Breaking Bad on. It is that Netflix will be releasing one film every week this year. An original film.
Dude, I watched, they had a trailer for some of the movies coming out. Not all of them, but some of them. And you're talking about, there is literally a movie coming out with The Rock, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot in the same movie.
Yep.
I mean, budget, obviously not an issue.
Clearly not. And honestly, I think Disney Plus is knocking it out of the park so well with their original content that I think this is Netflix being like, all right, let's get to work.
Well, Netflix lost The Office and they lost Parks and Rec. Now, Parks and Rec was successful, but The Office was the #1 stream thing in the world this year.
Yep.
So
now you can
the
get
fact
another
that they have to make up for all those streams, you know what I mean? Here's the thing. I saw a lot of people talking shit that they were going to drop Netflix after they got rid of The Office. Don't be stupid.
No,
because Netflix still has a ton of amazing programming, old and new. So, I mean, this is a prime example here. Also, you can't go to the movies anymore. So if they're dropping a new movie every week, you got a new movie to watch every single week.
100%. And also, by the way, on terms of like say somebody came up to you and said, "Hey, I'm going to drop everything I'm paying, everything that I'm paying for, and I'm only going to get streaming services. Which ones should I get?" Wouldn't your first answer always be Netflix?
Netflix, immediately.
That's like the default go-to. And not just because it was the first, but because it's got such a large, different library.
It's the best. It's the best. It has the best originals.
Right. Okay, so let's do this. Top three streaming services that you have to get. You can't get any others.
Okay, so Netflix.
Yep.
Disney Plus.
Yep.
Got a soft spot for Amazon.
Amazon. Okay. You're
Marvelous Miss Maisel.
Yes, Marvelous Miss Maisel. Forgot about that.
Man in the High Tower.
Man on High Castle. Is that it?
No, it's Man in the High Castle.
In the High Castle. That's it.
And the John Krasinski.
Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, there's a decent amount of really good original movies.
Sure, and not just original movies, but they also throw plenty of other stuff on there too that aren't originals.
HBO Max is pretty good.
But that is my third choice. You and me had the same one in the same order, except instead of Amazon Prime, I would go HBO Max. HBO Max is HBO just with some extra spices. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And honestly, you just can't go wrong with HBO. So
agreed.
I think that would be our main three. But Netflix is really, I think, trying to show their stuff. I mean, again, I consider them the default streaming service. You should always just start with Netflix. But now it's like they're trying to show like, oh, by the way, our original content is going to get way more like intense and better. And I remember like, what was it, like 2 years ago? They said by 2020, maybe 2, they wanted their service to be like almost entirely original content, which I think is a bad idea, but also it just means that they're pushing out new content, which is good.
And also you have seen an increase in the quality of these new movies. You know,
yes.
There's originally some of the, so like you can see a turning point. There was one with a whole lot of great stars like Ben Affleck and Charlie Hunnam. Triple Frontier is what it was called.
Yes, I remember that.
Wasn't great. Wasn't great, but it was good. And it was the first, hey, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and then they started giving us stuff like Spencer Confidential, Extraction.
Yes, Extraction was exceptional.
Both of the Babysitter movies were really good too. Did you ever watch those?
Which one? I don't know. Which one was it?
That's the one where the kid's like, he's just on the cusp of being too old for a babysitter, but he's okay with it because the babysitter who comes in is like this really hot high school girl that he's got a crush on. But then it turns out her and her popular friends are like downstairs having a party, but it turns out it's like a demon, like Satan's sacrifice.
I never saw that, but
no,
I know
okay,
I know what you're talking about.
Oh my God, you would like this movie. I'm not even kidding. And the sequel's not bad either. I think you'd dig it. I think you'd dig it a lot. But yeah, so Netflix, I think, is knocking it out of the park. Another thing that they showed off in that little trailer, by the way, Tick Tick Boom, a musical is coming out. And
Lin-Manuel
led.
Miranda.
Lin-Manuel Miranda led, and I believe the main character is played by Andrew Garfield.
I mean, that's pretty amazing.
That's a great team up. There's also they showed a quick snippet of Leonardo DiCaprio and who was the girl next to him? Was that Jennifer Lawrence?
Oh, Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah. So they're in a team up.
That's what they closed on. The 5 biggest stars in the entire world
Jennifer
are
Lawrence,
their last
Leonardo DiCaprio,
The Rock.
Ryan Reynolds, The Rock, and Gal Gadot. It's like, all right, Netflix, we see you.
See, what we're experiencing right now is we're experiencing a confluence of time and the perfect situation of the movie theater is all but dead, and
at the moment, yes,
streaming is everything.
Yep.
Now, this is the point in history where streaming services are going to have to start going away because there's starting to be too many of them. And the market's starting to get a little bit saturated.
I think what's going to have to
start pulling apart from the other ones.
Well, it's exactly what happened with the DC streaming service.
Yes.
That was essentially absorbed into HBO Max. Like when HBO Max said, "Hey, we've got some DC content on here," people were like, "Okay, well, are we doing Harley Quinn's TV show on HBO Max?" And they said, No, that belongs to the DC streaming service. Like, we're not taking that. And then DC streaming service did nothing. And now HBO Max has that. So it's absorbing into it.
Yeah,
what is?
That having a separate DC.
But still having DC content on another totally.
So you see what Marvel and Disney are doing is actually genius. Because
so genius.
Disney, I mean, like, it helps that Disney has all of the money and all of the content in the world.
Sure.
But they took sports, movies, and Disney, and they put it all together.
But I'm not going to lie. It's like, I think I said this when Disney Plus came out. If it was a Marvel streaming service, I wouldn't get it. If it was a Disney streaming service, I wouldn't get it. If it was a Star Wars streaming service, I would not get it. And I've rewatched Star Wars for the 15 billionth time this past month, and I still would not get it. Put those 3 together, that's a really awesome deal.
That's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. And just for the content that's already out there, everything that they're coming out with from now on is just adding to it. And it's like, that's why Disney Plus is immediately the second choice of the top 3 streaming services.
Well, I mean, there's been quite a few things that I've seen. Mandalorian is exceptional. A few of the movies. There was a couple of Christmas movies I saw.
Yep.
Mulan. I mean,
Mulan, you can't stop talking about, and that was supposed to come out for theaters, but it's became premium access.
It was on its way to the theaters when the world shut down.
Exactly. Which, by the way, the next thing I'm hearing, which is very, very disappointing, is Disney is now in talks to put Black Widow on the streaming service, but doing it like Mulan and making it a premium access thing. And I was like, damn it, because that's one I would pay for.
I mean, I'll just wait.
You would
like
wait?
I did with Mulan. I'm not going to pay $30 to see a movie.
I don't think I can when it's a part of the MCU.
Doesn't matter if it was my high school graduation video. I'm not going to pay $30 to watch something that if I just wait 3 months, I get it for free.
Well, we'll see about 3 months. They might pull some other BS on us. But honestly, I want to see that movie. And if they do premium access, I'm going to lose it. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Forgive me. All right. We need to stop the episode. I'm too emotional. All right. Our next thing is going back to Disney Plus, and I think this is super, super exciting, and it's probably just because I'm still in the Star Wars mindset right now. But Liam Neeson recently kind of was like, hey, I would really like to be in that Obi-Wan TV series.
Yeah, I bet he would.
Jinn. Do you think it's just because he wants to get paid, or just because he wants to come back into the Star Wars?
I mean, either way, I'm against it.
Really? This is what I was wondering. Why are you against it?
I mean, he's dead. He's dead.
Sure. Do you know Qui-Gon Jinn can actually still communicate to the Jedi?
Yeah, I get it. And that's fine if he just comes back as like a ghost. But
he can't even be a Force ghost though.
I mean,
this is my Star Wars knowledge coming out. He learned how to become a Force ghost, but he only got through halfway through his training, so all he can do is communicate through voice. He can't like physically be there. And he trained Yoda through his voice to become a Force ghost, and then Yoda taught Obi-Wan. Well, Qui-Gon Jinn taught Obi-Wan. Qui-Gon Jinn taught Obi-Wan while he was on Tatooine, which is when this show's taking place, so it would be perfect.
All right.
It's so perfect, and also Qui-Gon Jinn is one of my favorite Jedi, so I need this.
I mean, you're obviously really passionate about this.
I am.
I don't really care that much. So.
I am, because it's Qui-Gon Jinn. That's why.
Yeah. If he does, he does. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Either way.
Is there any other characters from like the prequels you would like to see come back in anything?
Jar Jar Binks. I want Jar Jar Binks to have his own show.
I'm not gonna lie. People were actually kind of hoping like Jar Jar would be in the Obi-Wan TV series, but specifically as like an older, like he's way more serious now. He's not like being silly, but it's supposed to be kind of like a reconnection of old friends. You know, like everything's fallen to hell. The Empire has risen, and it's supposed to be kind of like this sad moment of like, man, remember when we were like just on Naboo fighting in a war, and now none of that even matters. Kind of like a somber moment, and I'm like, I would like that. That's kind of like a good ending to Jar Jar.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I guess.
I'm just saying. But then many people want this. They want Mace Windu to come back.
I would watch a young Mace Windu.
Who would you want to play as young Mace Windu?
Michael B. Jordan, obviously.
Damn, that's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Or Lakeith
Stanfield.
Or John David Washington.
Or Winston Duke.
No,
Winston Duke's too big. He's too big for it.
He's too big. It's like, wow, you really slimmed down in your later years, Winston.
Just giant, walking around with a purple lightsaber. No, like, but people are actually hoping, like, apparently everybody can survive a fall in the Star Wars universe, so people are legitimately like, hey, Mace Windu could totally come back.
Yeah, I saw a meme like that where falls in a pit, comes back. Falls in a pit, comes back. Falls in a pit, comes back.
That was a Robot Chicken sketch where it's like some guy like sweeping up in this like reactor or something, and then half of Darth Maul comes down and he's like, ah! And he goes, oh, I am so excited for that transfer to Coruscant. And then it's him like sweeping, and then Mace Windu comes down and he's like, I gotta get that transfer to the Death Star. And then it's the Emperor comes down and he's like, this is ridiculous.
That's funny.
I really liked that. Bit. But yeah, I'm excited. If Liam Neeson comes back, I'll be super pumped. But speaking of people coming back, there are rumors and talks that the Netflix characters from the Defenders, so Jessica Jones, Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Punisher, all of those characters are in talks to come into the MCU.
I would absolutely love that. I don't care if Iron Fist or Jessica Jones come back.
Yeah, I feel like we could redo those in general.
Jessica Jones wasn't bad.
I think Jessica Jones was good in the first season, but I think most of it was sold by David Tennant's charisma.
Also, Jessica Jones as a character I'm into.
Yes, totally. The whole detective, the PI angle
and
is
the girl
so great.
and the lady who plays her, who by happenstance was the lady who vomited on her own vomit.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, and she was a perfect casting for the character.
So I'm into that. It's just that the show wasn't my favorite. I didn't care for Iron Fist at all, especially the last season when it was the Colleen Wing and Misty Knight show.
Yeah, I was kind of into the first season. Wasn't so much into the second season.
The guy that played Iron Fist, Danny Rand, was so whiny, just unlikable, super unlikable.
He became a little bit more likable by the end of the first season.
In the second season, he was more likable, but still terrible.
Yeah.
Luke Cage was one that took a hard dive off a cliff in the second season because the first season was awesome.
The first season so good.
Second season was, first of all, the love story between the bald guy and oh my god, I can't remember her name. The lady that owned the club.
I know who you're talking about, but now I can't remember her name on it.
You talk about on-screen couple with negative sexual chemistry, it's those two. That felt like a relationship between an aunt and a nephew, and it was disgusting to watch because it felt fake the whole time.
Sure.
Number one. Number two, the way they kind of ended it and gave Luke Cage like almost where he's a villain and he's working with the bad guys and stuff like that. I hated that. Bright spot of the second season, Bushmaster was a fantastic villain.
Yes, I totally agree.
And the first season, Cottonmouth, not such a great villain.
I thought he was super interesting in the first half of the first season. Does that make sense?
Yes. No, totally.
I thought he was way more compelling, and then after a while, I was like, oh, I don't really.
Just got a little sick of him.
Yeah. But you know what? And I'll move on to the piece de resistance of this whole conversation. But Punisher is one that I have to see because John Bernthal is the perfect casting and perfect role for Punisher. Like, he's too great, right?
Yeah, I'd say casting, Bernthal's 1, Charlie Cox is 2.
For what do you mean?
For the show. Well, no, Mike Coulter's great too.
Well, yes.
But shows overall for the entire body of the show, Punisher, fantastic, phenomenal. But with season 3
of Daredevil. Yes.
Jesus Christ, dude, that's an A+. Season 3 is one of the best seasons of TV I've ever watched.
All right, so are you ready for my like final hitter of this discussion?
Yes.
Charlie Cox has been reportedly on set. He's been on set of Spider-Man 3.
That's awesome. That's where he belongs.
Let's go.
That's Daredevil belongs in the Spider-Man universe.
100%. And that was the theory that I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago where somebody said, hey, after the events of Far From Home, Spider-Man could use a pretty good lawyer.
Not wrong.
In walks Matt Murdock.
Yep. Foggy Nelson.
Oh, boy. Like, it's just... that's what I need to see.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Charlie Cox as Daredevil, he's just so perfect, and I'm just ready for him to make his way into the MCU.
I would love to see all of the Defenders show up in Spider-Man.
I think they could fit best in Spider-Man.
Well, that's where they belong. Yeah,
it's true because absolutely. I think the thing about the Defenders is they are very much on a city scale. Like they are very much New York as an embodiment. Spider-Man holds New York all on his shoulders. He's from Queens, but he's all over New York City. Whereas the Defenders have their own little like sections. So him interacting with them is the prospect of that is very interesting to me.
I like it.
Especially Punisher. I want to see John Bernthal interact with Tom Holland.
Hey, kid.
Bam! All right. But that's going to do it for news. We're going to move on to our reviews.
Do we even have time for this?
We do. We're at 45 minutes. We're going to try to make them quick. I don't think there's too much to say about the first episode in general, but I think we're just going to give pretty. Here, we're going to start with recommendations, just like how we did with Mandalorian. So, Tank, what's your recommendation for this week?
After talking to your dumbass for this entire hour, I've changed my recommendation twice. I was gonna go Letterkenny, but just the first season because you don't need to watch more than that.
Okay.
Upload, which was a great show on Amazon, but then I crossed that out because Atlanta. What kind of a stupid idiot hasn't watched Atlanta?
Me.
Yeah,
and it's sad too because I love so much of that, like every inch of that show, and I just haven't watched it yet.
Atlanta is the show, so watch that show.
Okay, I'll give it a watch. What is it on right now? I know it's an FX show,
Hulu.
but it's okay. Okay, it's on Hulu. I have Hulu. Perfect. Okay, my recommendation is I just had like a pretty like crazy day not too long ago, and I just kind of wanted to watch a movie to just make me like stupid chuckle, and it's not even like a dumb comedy kind of movie. It's just something that I just get so much enjoyment out of. So it's my recommendation this week, and it's The Simpsons movie. Do you like The Simpsons movie?
Yeah, it's okay.
I think The Simpsons movie has some of the best Simpsons jokes all wrapped up in that film.
I'm not the biggest Simpsons fan.
And I am. Simpsons is just my kind of humor, honestly. That's the main thing. But like, the scene in the movie where they're like, You're not a big Simpsons fan?
I'm not. I just got this from working with this is a limited edition lithograph celebrating the 400th episode of The Simpsons.
So for all of our listeners, that's what he's holding up.
Number 93 of 300.
Oh my god. I hate you.
And guess what? It goes right back under my desk.
Okay. Well, so I'm a big fan of The Simpsons. And in The Simpsons movie, there's this really great joke I always like to think of because it cracks me up every frickin' time. And it's Lenny calling Homer and saying, hey, they shut down the Lard Lads Donuts for health violations and they're giving out free donuts. Already a red flag. But in behind him walks Chief Wiggum with donuts on the barrel of his gun. And he's eating the donuts. And then he leans back and the gun goes off and shoots a hole through his hat. And he goes, wow, that was close. And then he just starts eating the donuts. Oh my God, it's just so funny.
Dude, it is it's a very creative show with really well written jokes.
Absolutely. And it survives on its characters. That's what I'm going to say. That show survives because they have so many memorable characters and I love every single one of them.
Yeah.
So that's my pick, The Simpsons movie. Please watch that and have a good time laughing. And I will watch Atlanta and cry that Tank has something so cool and I don't. So we're going to do our reviews of WandaVision. I'm thinking because this is a brand new show, everybody already knew that we loved Mandalorian. So let's just give very generic opinions, no spoilers or anything, about WandaVision right now. Tank, what did you think of the first 2 episodes? That's all we've seen so far.
So
what'd you think?
I'm interested. Okay. I thought they did a great job of first of all, can I just say there is something about I don't know if it's the hair or the way she's talking. It's just super hot. Number one.
You're talking about
Elizabeth Olsen.
Paul Bettany. Oh, Elizabeth Olsen.
It just does it for me. Number one. Number two. I am in. I'm interested. Because here's the whole show is going to hinge on the reveal, right?
Yeah, totally.
So like whatever the reveal ends up being, that's going to define whether or not the show's good.
Because I'm going to tell you, I don't think the show's going to get a second season. Because I don't think there can be a second season.
Yeah, and that's fine, and I appreciate things like that. It's one of the things I appreciate about British TV is how short the runs are.
Sure.
Because I think that's how it could be and should be. So this just being a miniseries telling this one story, I'm good with.
Right.
But again, if they screw up the reveal, if the backstory ends up being whack, like I already have an idea in my head of what I think it is,
sure,
and what I think is going on, and I won't say because I don't want to try to, sure, I don't want to influence anybody or anything like that and what they might think. But what I'm seeing so far, I'm enjoying on a level of, okay, this is really well done.
I think it's so much fun, and the undertones that they're like hinting at of the reveal and what everything's going to mean in the end is very interesting, and that's the part of the show that I think grabs everybody's attention. But my God, can I just appreciate people recreating the magic that is these classic television shows?
Yeah, no, it's great.
Because they're
doing a great job with it.
They capture the essence so well. This isn't, I wouldn't say this is very spoilery, but the first episode is very I Love Lucy, very, set based and following around with the camera on just a soundstage level. And then the second episode leans more Bewitched, so it's still black and white, but they start getting more close-ups. And I think on a filmmaker's level and appreciation of these classic television shows, you can start to see the progression, and it's so interesting and so exciting. And the humor is getting I don't think they would pull some of the humor that they did in the second episode that they would have in the first episode, because in the first episode they were still doing I Love Lucy. And
as we progress, I think what's going to happen is I think that they're going to start time progressing these up. So the next one will be,
like colored.
I Dream of Jeannie, and then who knows? They're going to start moving. They're going to move it up time wise. So we'll see.
100%.
And I think it's going to be awesome.
That's super exciting, because the canned laughter and the cheesy humor and the way they're doing effects are not on, a Marvel Cinematic Movie budget scale, because they're trying to make it look like these classic television shows. So, Tank, I know you're interested, but man, I was dying of laughter, and I was so wrapped up in it, and it's just, I got it on a high level right now. I'm really, really enjoying it.
And to your point last week, it's got a super Pleasantville vibe to it.
Yes. Absolutely. They start hinting at stuff in the second episode that literally I was like, Pleasantville, here we go.
Yep.
But anyways, so that will do it for our kind of generic opinions. I think everybody should start watching it if you've been following the MCU. This, I believe, is going to have massive repercussions on the next part of the MCU. This is the start of Phase 4. And we know Phase 4 is going to be very multiverse heavy, and I think this is going to be the match that lights the fire. So I'm excited.
Tell you, I don't think that's what it is.
You don't think so?
No.
Interesting. All right. Well,
I'll tell you when we wrap up. I'll tell you what I think.
Okay. So now let's move into spoilers. I think so. This is your final warning is spoilers. I think the way that they're handling, and they've already pulled the rug out from under it, but the way they're handling color in the black and white was very interesting to me. You know what I mean? Like with it being the helicopter, but the first instance, if you remember, of color being in the show is
the toaster.
The toaster.
Stark.
The Stark Industries toaster. They're doing these interesting commercials. Commercials. It's just one commercial in the middle of the episode.
Did you notice the watch commercial?
And the watch. Okay, so the toaster had Stark Industries. It was a Stark Industries toaster, and the watch had a Hydra symbol on it. Yep. And I'm like, this show is everything that I love about the MCU so far.
What if
enjoyment
during the show?
Okay, is this your theory?
This is one of my theories. So
okay.
Vision's dead. You know what I mean? So this is her dream world, right?
Sure.
So what if this is number one while she's in the blink or whatever that thing was called?
Sure.
While she was dusted.
Yep.
What if it's that, or a simulation? Because obviously wherever she is some sort of military installation.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Because there's a symbol of a sword. You've seen it. You've seen it a couple times now on the notebook and on the helicopter, right?
Yep.
And so some sort of military research facility, like maybe where they're able to contain her powers, where she can't use her powers to get out, and maybe the people contacting her is the Avengers trying to find her.
Could be. I didn't recognize. There's a voice that keeps going on the radio that's like, Wanda, Wanda, are you there, Wanda? And I could not recognize that voice for the life of me.
That's the real world breaking in. Now,
yes.
So the dinner, okay? The dinner,
I loved that dinner scene so much.
When she's at the dinner, I think she was the one choking the guy.
Yes, I do think there was something
like that's
to
like
that.
A military, like there's like military people there. I think it's almost like a skin of reality of what's really happening. And she's like, she was choking the guy because, and then Kitty Foreman's like, stop,
Kitty,
stop. But she's talking.
She's talking to her, saying, "Stop it, stop choking him." I like that theory a lot, and I do agree with you. I think she was having something to do with that, and it's her mental, her mental vision that is her allowing him to help this guy.
That's her conscience.
Yes,
you know what I mean. So losing him, and I don't know if we'll get him back. I doubt that we will, because he's dead. But then again, you could just Control-Alt-Delete, reset him.
I was going to say, I think we're going to get some semblance of Vision back. Especially, remember, the entire end plot of Infinity War is we can save Vision to survive without the stone, and Shuri's just going to work on it. So some of that information, I believe, is saved. And that's going to be what brings him back into the real world. But for right now, all we've got is... Maybe, who knows? Maybe this experiment or this building that she's in is her using her powers to finish whatever information Shuri pulled out of him. And it's to try to bring him back to life in some way.
What I picture is, even though she's young, she's from Sokovia. Yes. So they would have had the older TV shows, not like Friends and things like that. Oh my God,
yeah.
So this is her creating that world. Like if she's in a cell or something like that, you know what I mean? Like she needs to create a fantasy world to keep herself from going insane or from realizing where she's at.
Right.
But she would use those. So that's her using those things that she watched as a child.
Sure. I like that a lot. Also, can I just say, that dinner scene, because that was me freaking out because I love that dinner scene so much. That dinner scene is so great because, and this is probably just me looking at it from the filmmaking perspective, in I Love Lucy, it's those big wide shots, like a one camera kind of shot. Mm-hmm. And then in the more Bewitched episode, they start getting close-ups on everyone. But in the I Love Lucy episode, when that dinner scene happens and everything starts going wrong, you get close-ups, you get Dutch angles, you get the camera in their face, and suddenly it's an MCU movie again. Like they know how to use the cameras to be like, hey, this ain't playtime anymore. And it's the moment that somebody says some stupid thing like, oh, would you look at the time? And canned laughter comes out that suddenly we're back in I Love Lucy. And I love that so much. It's so interesting and so creative. And honestly, I know, we're still in spoilers, so I know we're going to be in colored TV past this episode 2. Who knows what television show they're going to try to mirror with the style. Mm-hmm. But I could have gone another 2 episodes in black and white because the way they did it was so fun and so clever. The first episode opening with him coming through the kitchen door and her floating the plates and then it's smashing on his head. Oh, my wife and her flying saucers. Oh, my husband and his indestructible head. It's so cheeky and fun. I could live in this world, and I'm sure Wanda could too, but she's not gonna.
Well, aren't you Tobey Maguire in Pleasantville?
I am Tobey Maguire in Pleasantville. I love that movie so much.
I'm really sold. I'm in on whatever's gonna happen. I'm really curious.
And you, if I remember correctly, now the show could change. And you, if I remember correctly, were not interested in this show at all when we started talking about Phase 4.
I just didn't care about Wanda.
Sure. You didn't care about Vision either.
No. No.
And
no.
honestly, Scarlet Witch is, in my opinion, probably one of the strongest Avengers, if not the strongest Avenger. I think she's super interesting, and she's going to play a major role in Phase 4, which excites me. So I was already in on this show, but also when they announced it and I realized, oh, this is based off of a comic series where it's like, it's exactly what the show's giving us, where it's this TV cheeky wonderland all created inside Vision's head. This is exciting. I don't think that's the route they're going for this, obviously, because Vision's dead, but all of this looks so cool and so interesting, and I just can't get enough of it. This second episode, I just want to applaud Paul Bettany's performance because him playing like that, I mean, he's essentially being drunk.
It's great.
Was hysterical.
Very enjoyable.
Honestly, it's like, it's so funny how they'll take these ideas of, you know, obviously it works better in the second episode because they're mirroring Bewitched, but her, you know, trying to save the magic show by actually performing magic to make it look fake was so great. Especially the hardest laugh that I got was the piano. Because
that was pretty funny.
She moves that piano and it cuts to the guy going, that was my grandma's piano. I died laughing. I was like, that is awesome.
That's
like,
funny.
Man, this show is just so fun and so clever, and I'm so excited to see where they go from here. Honestly, it's the first time in a while. It's the first time since Mandalorian that's not a while, but it's the first time since Mandalorian that I finished an episode and I said, I can't wait for Friday of next week.
Yeah, I just really gotta have more. I hate that I have to wait.
I love it. I honestly love it because I think it makes us appreciate it more.
Maybe.
But
you're right.
All right, well, I think that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you all so much for watching us on YouTube at No Talking During the Movies. Thank you for following us on Instagram, where we post frequently about the podcast itself. That's also No Talking During the Movies. But I think that's going to do it for today. Tank, how you feeling?
Feeling great, man. Good stuff.
All right. Well, once again, I am your host, Stephen Austin.
I'm your old buddy and confidant and secret lover, Tank.
Secret lover. Oh.
Secret lover.
We'll see you next time, guys. Bye.